Hey everybody, I'm going to do 2 pours on 9x12 canvases. They're white, and I have put a little bit of white Floetrol mixture of 50-50 white paint and Floetrol just to wet them. They're not perfectly flat. They don't need to be perfect because I'm a pour paint. This is just a regular dirty pour. I'm using DecoArt paints. I have navy, dioxazine purple, splendid gold. This is a mixture of bright orange and neon orange. This is teal metallic, which I just used on the pour that I just did before this one that was like a peacock color. This is a mixture of royal fuchsia and vivid violet. This is bluegrass green and Bahama blue. Typically with DecoArt paints you do not have to add water once you add your Floetrol, which is a 1-to-1 ratio. Paint to Floetrol, latex based, is 1-to-1. Sometimes you have to add water, most of the time you do not. I was going to mix these two together, so I just wanted to show you the last step of this process. This was left over from a peacock swipe with metallics and black that I did, and I wanted to use up this paint, and I wanted to do kind of a colorful pour, dirty pour. I like to still do dirty pours, even though I try to create some pretty art. I still like to do dirty pours. So basically that just lightened up that bluegrass green color. And this has been sitting here for a few minutes, so I'm going to add a little bit of water to it. And then I use treadmill lubricant, which is 100% silicone, something similar to WD-40 or Blaster or liquid wrench. I use the treadmill lubricant drops, and putting that in here at the last. And one other thing about the teal metallic, DecoArt makes metallics, and they offer some colors in the metallics besides like gold and bronze and silver and things like that. And these are really beautiful, but you do have to add some water to the metallics because they are much thicker. So I think I'm ready. Put away my water and my treadmill lubricant. I have a pan. I had done some dirty pours the other day, and there's quite a bit of paint that's dried in the bottom, but it's been on a chair that was angled, and so the paint has collected, and I'm sure it's not dry down there, so I can't put my hands in any of this or pick up any of this because this is partially dry and it will just turn to mud. But this is one of these things where you let this dry really good and you can peel it right out of this pan and keep using it. So I'm going to have this nearby for the drips. So I've got 2 cups here. This one is dry. It was just over the canvas that let some paint drift on. So I'm going to start. I have my white that's 50-50 with Floetrol and a little bit of water. No silicone in here. I'm clumsy sometimes. So I'm starting each dirty pour with white. I don't want a lot of navy, but I am going to put a little navy in. Tell you what, I'm going to add a drop of the lubricant every so often. someone on Instagram had used beautiful colors, not these particularly, but something close, and her dirty pour was just gorgeous. And so it prompted me to kind of use these colors in particular. So I have no idea how this is going to turn out, but I hope it turns out really pretty. White, I think try to use as much paint as I can. Obviously I'm going to have too much for these, but I also try to leave some in my cups. If I'm using cups, I try to leave just a little bit so that in case I want to add to the painting when I'm finished. Let these sit for a minute. The pour that I did before this, I used the peacock colors. I didn't use the pink or the orange, and I did a black swipe with the metallics and some of the peacock colors, and it is beautiful, and I cannot wait to post that video. That'll come out before this one will. But I had to lay down some clean craft paper because I made a mess on my table. But it was a beautiful mess. I had to cut pieces of it off to save for jewelry. So I'm going to leave this one over to the side. Okay, so the orange has overtaken this one for sure. Okay, I mean, it's pretty. It's nothing to write home about, but it is pretty. Okay, I'm going to put this one away. Whoa, lose half my paint on the table here. I don't like when I do that. See, by the time you scrape this, it turns to mud. I have plenty of cells, so that's why I haven't torched it. I'm going to go ahead and torch this one just for the fun of it. But I don't torch, I use a heat gun. Break up this teal a little bit. I don't know. So I like to use my fingers to kind of meet up with the paint. I'm trying to not tilt it too terribly much because I am notorious for tilting until I get a lot of zigzags, like here. And this one is equally nothing to write home about. Kind of muddy feeling. Maybe it's because I didn't layer enough white in between the colors. I often try not to put a lot of white in because I don't want it to lighten the colors, but I think sometimes you got to do it for the contrast. I don't know. And I have, you know, lots of cells because I do put a good amount of lubricant into my colors, and I do stir it. Or if it's in bottles, I shake it. So it's funny how these two paintings came out totally different, even though it's pretty much the same. I don't think that bright orange worked real well with the other colors, where I had too many colors that were in the same tone, and so it just is kind of blah. But here's the second one. Here's a quick look at the one canvas versus the other canvas. So I got the orange lacing through this one, and white lacing and some orange lacing on that one. So same colors, just different looks.